it's interesting when you were speaking. I was thinking about it, and Korea, when you were, you had your love for Korea, Korea was not really popular in the global sense, right?
Yeah.
But when you started, having, I don't know if I want to say a dislike or a distaste towards Korea, Korea was booming at that time. Like everybody's like, Korea, Korea, Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that for you? Like everybody loving Korea, but you as a Korean not loving Korea.
It was kind of weird. To be honest, it was kind of weird. I think especially being an Asian person in the States, you always have this like, do you like me or do you have yellow fever? Like it's kind of that's like that's the thing, and that goes for any other race too, right?
But for Korea specific, especially because you're like, it's gonna sound weird to say this, you're not just Asian, you're Korean.
Yes.
And like everybody's like K-pop, 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 and you're just like, do you like me or is it the K-pop? Like which one is it? Yeah, I can.
Yeah. And it's even more prominent now. Like I went to. My mom lives in my mom and my sister live in California. I went into this donut shop that was owned by a Vietnamese person, and he looks at me and he says, "Are you Korean?" And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I thought so, there aren't many Korean people here, but I looked at you and I was like, yeah, she's Korean.
She's not Vietnamese.
And so it's like a weird thing. It's like a weird, you're a trophy Asian. Like it's like
you guys have been like bumped up like suddenly because of like the how you wave. So that has to be so weird.
I know, and there are people like my mom is like, we're so proud of Korean people like Samsung, Hyundai, and I was like, but also it's honestly it's a little weird. It feels sometimes I think people genuinely like it, but sometimes it does feel a little fetishized or like a little romanticized. Like Korea has become the new Paris.
Oh my! And Paris ain't all that. Let me start by saying that I've gone to Paris and I was like, what is this? So like, when you say Korea is romanticized, 100%.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah. And I think especially because I grew up very deep in my Korean culture. And so when people are like, oh my God, like, what's the word? Like, not oppa, but there's like a specific word that they use for Korean men. Is there not one? Am I making it up?
Because the first thing I thought was you were going to say Korea boo.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay.
That Korea thing. Boo.
That thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I know so much generationally, like what is built into Korean culture, and like my grandparents it was an arranged marriage, and like
oh wow,
okay,
that's interesting.
Which is I don't think it's very common.
It's not, because I've never heard of a Korean marriage that's arranged.
Wow. My grandparents were arranged, and so I grew up with K-dramas, but it's like I watch these people and they're like, oh my God, I want to go to Korea. Korea's so great. I'm like, there are amazing things about Korea, but at the same time, it's a little like, you think that way because you're a foreigner.
And because you're watching these things. Like when you are Korean, I think it is a little different. Because you've grown up with Koreans around you and you're like, we're great, but we're also not great. That's how I feel about like me. I'm Kenyan, American. Sometimes I'm like, Kenyans are great, but also there's a lot of stupidity that goes around. You know, it's like that. There's no race or ethnicity that's 100% perfect, to be honest. But okay, sorry.
No.
Something I just wanted to get out there, guys. I'm sorry. I hop around.
We had
topics.
to. It was necessary.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It was
like
necessary.
To be honest, I was gonna ask her about the whole arranged marriage thing, but I feel like people are like, girl, shut up. That's not what we were caring about. I have topics so bad. It's so bad. Take me back to when you first came to Korea and you decided that you're coming, right? What was your parents' reaction to that?
Honestly, my dad's reaction was very subtle. I thought, so he moved back to Korea when I was 19.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
My grandma, so my 친할머니, she got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so he had told us that he was going to move back. So he moved back, and he didn't come back to the States after that. So he always told me, like, come for 3 months and stay with me. And I was like, I don't know about that. And like, I'm good, appa. So when I told him, he was like, okay. And then I was like, you're not as excited about this as I thought.
He's like, okay, come through.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was just outwardly he wasn't showing the excitement, but inwardly he was probably really excited?
I think so. My dad is you tell him something, he has to think about it, and then he'll express what he has to process. He's a very He takes his time. And so my mom, I was actually more nervous about telling my mom because I was born and raised in California.
Yeah.
But I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 26. So I lived there for 4 years before I moved here.
Yeah.
And when I moved there, it was this whole thing. My mom was really upset about it.
Wow.
Yeah, she was like, you must be leaving because you don't like me. And I
She
was
took it to
like,
heart.
it was really difficult for her. And so I was really anxious about telling her. And then I told her and she was like, yeah, I think it would be really great for you. I think your dad would really love it.
Yeah.
And I was like, who
are you? What have you done with my mom?
Yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, so both of them had positive reactions to it.
Do you think it's because they also kind of knew that you needed that connection with Korea?
Possibly. I think for my mom, for both of them, I think it was more like it would be nice because my dad doesn't have any immediate family in Korea.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think that they thought, like work-wise too, maybe I could do something else here. Yeah.
Okay. And in your forum, you had called this mission, right?
Yes.
I'm going to bleep that word out because YouTube, you know.
Right.
Get childish about that word. Your self-deletation.
Unaliving mission.
Your emotional unalive.
Yes.
She's smart. I like
Yes.
her. Okay. Your emotional unaliving mission, right?
Yes.
Why did you call it that?
I called it that because I knew I was actively walking into a situation that could potentially break me down.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I was already at a kind of fragile mental state, I would say. And so because I was walking into it thinking that this could really just break me apart and just I don't even know who I could be at the end of that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I called it that.
Did you have even like a single positive thought going into it?
My positive thought was that I would be able to spend time with my dad, and that I think because I went to culinary school right after high school and started working at such a young age, I was really ready to kind of breathe a little bit. My dad was telling me, my parents are very not typically Korean parents. And so my dad was like, come stay with me, just relax, don't work, like just breathe. Yeah.
Oh, because you never had a break.
No.
School, work.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's very nice of him
So
to
I
do
started
that.
working since I was like 18.
That's really young.
Yeah.